My name is Sharon Ingram, and I am the executive director of the DC chapter of the Recording Academy.
And my name is Stan Robinson. My stage name is Substantial. Yeah, I'm also a part of the Recording Academy. How many years? I don't know. How long have you been with the Academy?
It'll be 6 years in June,
6 years.
so you were a member before I started.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's been 10 years yet, but it's been a little while. Yeah.
I also want to acknowledge our chapter president, Tamara Owens. Oh, wait, he's also a board member. He should have said that, too.
I'm so sorry. This is still new for me, you know. So after you introduce them, I want to give a fun fact, but yes.
Tamara Wellens is, I have to use this because I feel like this, is our DC chapter president. How many years have you been a member of the Recording Academy? I could look it up, but I don't. Okay. And Elise Perry, who is a board governor at this point, but she's also been our president, vice president, all the things at some point. Yeah. All natives, Virginia, D.C., Maryland. Where are you from?
I'm from PG County, Maryland, but I live in VA now. My wife's a Virginia girl, so you know, I mean, you follow your heart.
Aww. What's the fun fact?
Oh, the fun fact is when I was recommended, when Tamara reached out to me saying to try to become a board member, I was literally here at MAGFest. I was on stage at MAGFest exactly a year ago. I got off stage, just finished performing. It was my birthday.
Oh, look at all that.
And I got home and I saw the email from her. And so it's interesting. It's just crazy how the universe works. And now, like, you know, after that happened, I was like, hey, we should be at MAGFest. And look, we're here.
A year later. A year.
Oh, thank you. Man, I appreciate it. It was a great weekend. You know, look at the universe. Showing off.
So we're just going to do a brief overview of the Recording Academy. I hate saying 101, but kind of just like demystifying the Recording Academy, because people think it's a lot of different things, that it's way more than what you think, in my opinion. So, you know, the Recording Academy is the premier music organization for performers, songwriters, producers, engineers, anyone that participates in the making of a record, or the professionals behind the scenes that support them, long and short of it. So it's really just a community of music business, music industry professionals. If you are a musician, we are your people. Mm-hmm. If you work with musicians, we are your people. So the Recording Academy is the parent company, but under the Recording Academy, the Grammy Awards, the Latin Recording Academy Advocacy, which does legislation and lobbying on the Hill on behalf of creators and artists globally. There's an office in DC dedicated to lobbying and advocacy work on behalf of creatives. The Grammy Museum, where there's a museum in LA. There's one, I think, in Tennessee. And then they have different pop-ups all over the place. But the Grammy Museum is tasked with the preservation of music history. So there are a lot of cool exhibits, and as a member, you can visit the Grammy Museum anytime. It's really cool. And then my favorite part of the Recording Academy, which is Music Cares, it's the nonprofit arm of the Recording Academy, and it just provides, you know, services for musicians or, you know, music industry professionals in times of need. I also say Music Cares for my last slide because I like to go in deep, because you do not have to be a member of the Recording Academy to receive services from Music Cares. You just have to be able to demonstrate that you've been working in music for 5 years, and they will provide confidential assistance at no charge. So I guess 2023, was it 2022 they voted for it? 2022, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be looking at the slide. In 2022, our Board of Trustees voted almost unanimously to establish the best score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media. And last Grammys, the first Grammy was awarded for best video game music. Pretty exciting. So it recognizes excellence in score soundtrack albums comprised predominantly of original scores and created specifically for or as a companion to a current video game or other interactive media released within the qualification period. And we'll talk about the qualification period a little later. The award goes to the composer of the original score, just so you know. There's rules to each award, so we always try to share what each award comprises because each one is different.
Yes, and so the winner for the first ever one was for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Dawn of Ragnarok, Stephanie, I'm going to butcher that last name, Economu, or
Economu.
Yeah, so as a composer. So some of the other nominees, you had Aliens, Fireteam Elite with Austin Wintory. We had Call of Duty, Vanguard. If you love any of these games, feel free to get excited. You know what I mean? Because it's dope to see them get recognized. You had Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy, and then we had Old World as well. Now my question for you, because I like to start things. You know, whenever we do panels, I like to start a little trouble. So, it's great to be happy for the winner, but I'm just curious to know, how many of you would have voted for maybe Aliens Fireteam Elite? Anyone? Tough crowd. Oh, yeah, kind of. Yeah, had one. We in spades we would call that a possible. How about Call of Duty Vanguard? Any fans of the music for that? Yeah. Okay, all right, okay. And then we had Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy. Who would have gave their vote there? Yeah, okay. And then Old World. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. Well, listen, part of me just doing that right now, for any of you who are music professionals or professional musicians, this is the whole point, right, of being able to participate in that process. If you want to make sure your voice is heard, then becoming a member and being able to vote and participate in this, because it's not just random people, and this is something you'll speak to in a bit, but it's not just random people who just get to vote on this, people who aren't familiar with the genre. Like, when you log in to vote, like, you only can select 3 categories, correct? Mm-hmm. And so it's typically people who work in those categories and are familiar with those categories who vote on who the winner is. So I spend a lot of time as an underground rapper or independent rapper explaining to people all the time when I see the conspiracy theories online that, it's one thing. And I tell people, it's like, you got to remember, if you're not in that space, how you feel and what you believe is one thing, but it's not knowing, right? And if you want to be in the space, it's not something that you can't be a part of. But I think it's a great opportunity, and we'll talk more about what some of the other opportunities are involved. But yeah.
And I'm new, just to piggyback on that. I feel like all of these are pretty big budget productions. Mm-hmm. We're coming to spaces like MAGFest and just to educate and get more musicians that are participating, independent artists that are participating in the creation of music for gaming to help level the playing field and get the word out, and also just kind of bring everybody in, right?
Yeah.
So
it'd be great to see something like Bread and Fred make it into that, right? Or like some of these smaller indie games that are on the come up that have amazing scores, and and see these people get acknowledged. But how we do that as a community is by getting involved with the process, right? So these are this year's nominees. So you see Call of Duty's back up there, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy. We had seats for you in the front, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Our VIPs just showed up, aka my wife and kids. Rob's in the building. I understand. But yeah, my daughter would be happy to see Hogwarts up there. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and then Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. So yeah, I think it's important to recognize that, and you're seeing it, I think, in other categories now, right? Where some of these indie albums, like for example, if you're a hip hop fan, if you're a rap fan, Killer Mike's album last year was, it's one of my personal favorites. To see it nominated for a Grammy and know that it was not a major release, it was not a major label release, that is a big deal, right? Thinking about the fact that in the last few years, seeing someone like Nas finally win a Grammy, right? And him doing it on his own imprint, and we'll talk about the criteria and things that changed behind the scenes that put that, I would say you're going to see a lot more folks who typically get overlooked, right? Maybe seeing a bit more acknowledgement because of this new process. You know? But yeah.
But to do all of that, you must become a member of the
100%.
Recording Academy.
Yes.
So we were talking about eligibility period. So they just announced the eligibility period for, we are in 66, so the 67th Grammys. So the music would have had to have been released from September 16th last year to August 30th of this year. And so we're going to talk about membership because one of the main reasons we're here right now is because there's still time to submit your application for Recording Academy membership this year. The class of 2024 will be announced in June, and the online entry period to submit as a member for Grammy consideration will open in July. So if you go through the process this year, you are able to participate in the 67th Grammy process. Membership. So there's two types of membership in the Recording Academy. We have voting members, full membership, I should say. There's voting members, and that is basically the people who work in creation of the recording. So it can be the artist, the songwriter, the engineer, the producer, the music video director. Anyone that participates in the creative process would be a voting member of the Recording Academy, and that's part of why most artists, it's perceived as the highest honor in music because you know that your peers voted for it. You have to, our membership is, the body of our membership, everyone has to qualify every 5 years. You don't just get to stay in for life. You have to be continually working and continually being in the studio working for your craft. So that's why most people really want a Grammy. Then there's a professional membership. Professional members, those are the people that work in support of the creator. So it's your managers, it's your publicists, your label execs. Liner note writers. You know, it's everyone that kind of works behind the scenes. It's also your educators. I don't want to dismiss people who work to create the next generation of musicians. Music supervisors, you know, anyone that works to support and promote the recordings. Did you have a question? Okay. Oh, okay. So there's 3 steps to applying for membership. The first step is that you have to get 2 letters of recommendation from music industry professionals. We say you can't get anyone to write you a recommendation. Thank you. Now I hear myself. You can't get anyone to write your recommendation, but you really want someone who has experience to write and that we can find. I always tell people, like, you can say you worked with this engineer in the studio, but that if they don't have any type of public profile, like, and we can't verify that they're professional, and that can really speak to your experience creating music, then it's not really a good person. You don't have to get a recommendation from a member. You just have to get a recommendation from someone who we can substantiate. You see what I did there? Okay. So you need 2 letters of recommendation, and just as an FYI, each person can only write 2 recommendations. So that's like, I always tell people to do it as fast as you can because you'd be surprised. These recommendations run out quick. After you get your 2 letters of recommendation, you'll then be asked to, well, let me just go through this really quick. Once the application is submitted, it'll go to our peer review committee, which is a group of members. I don't even know who they are, that review all the applications that come in and move them forward, say yes or no to membership. It's the peer review committee is created by a diverse group of music industry professionals. And then lastly, you'll get your invitation. All invitations will go out in June, just in time to submit for a 67th Grammy consideration. So I just said, getting started. So I'm going to take you on the member journey of Stephanie Christian, who is a new member of the class of 2023, and this is basically how she went through her process. She made the connection. She used a New York board member, but she just took somebody that she's worked with and asked them to write a letter of recommendation. The whole process is digitized. It's not a formal letter of recommendation. There's one if you're a member, you go in your member portal and you submit your recommendations. Otherwise, there's just a link that goes straight to the membership department. Once they get 2 letters of recommendation, you will then get what is called hold on one second. What's it called? Okay. You will then get what they call, get your career profile request from the Recording Academy. And that's where you're going to put your resume. That's where you're going to put your links. That's where you're going to put your social media. So you're filling out, like, you're putting your best foot forward. You're giving everything you've done. You're showing your credits. You're showing your social. You're showing any press for professional members. You are showing LinkedIn. If you have, like, a work email address, they're going to look at all of that. They're really going to go down and look at your digital footprint. They want to make sure that you're working music professional. So that's what it looks like in the member portal if you're recommending someone. And that's a form. Here's a form that you would fill out. The recommendation form is fairly simple. The person you ask can do it in 10 minutes. I always tell people they need to get to the meat of the matter really quick. You don't want to write a book about, this should literally be 2 paragraphs saying what you do. Because they read over 2,000 of these. So you really want them to get to the meat of the matter fairly quickly. So again, Stephanie receives a notification with confirmation code and link. And then she uses the code to access her candidate profile and add membership documentation. So that's credits, like I said. Go ahead.
The credits part, you want to
Yeah.
go into detail?
Yeah. So for voting members, you have to have a minimum of 12 unique individual credits. So in the same area of expertise. So you could be a singer-songwriter, but in least one of those spaces you have to have 12 credits. It can't be 6 songwriting credits and 6 singer credits. You have to have 12 credits in one area of expertise. So you can use, and you have to use a third-party website, like a third-party distribution. Streaming service, whatever. So it could be iTunes, it could be, Spotify, anything. But it can't be your website. Bandcamp. What's that? There was a house music one. But anyway, the independent ones, as long as you should ask before you do it, but really just like the major streaming services is perfectly fine. So you're going to have to provide enough links to show the 12 unique credits. And then they're also just going to be looking for, like what I said earlier, your professional history, track record. But the credits also have to be, I think it's 5 in the last 5 years. You have to show that you're still working. So you can't have, at this point we're at 2017, like it past 2017, 2018, you need more than half of them to be, or at least half of them to be in the last 5 years. So you're just giving them links to show that this is what you do. They're looking for a full-time membership, a full-time recording professional. That's really just the meat of the matter. So you're looking for your 12 credits. You can use that. You can use your website, your social media, tour schedule, any press. These are all great things to put into your application. Charts, awards and honors, all of those things. That's what you should put in your links to substantiate your career. For professional members, they're looking for people who will round out the membership body. Your career is in direct service of music creators. So, it's not, the public profile does not have to be as strong for professional members, but you should be able to show that you are working with artists. Sometimes if it shows manager on the artist page, that's a good link to put. Things that show that you're connected to the industry. And then they're also looking for consistency. It says candidates will not be accepted because they have a high title. The title is considered clarification of what they do more than anything else. Okay, that's the first time I've seen that. So anyway, you're looking to show that you work in support. So again, LinkedIn, personal websites listed on a company or artist webpage, social media, press, all of those things work to substantiate your career, and that's what they're going to look for. And I always stress also, like, the higher the profile, like the more, that's relevant to the music business, or like verifiable, trusted sources are the best links to use when you're putting your substantiation into your file. You have a question? Yeah, go ahead, please.
And something I just want to add real quick. A lot of us, a lot of the musicians in the room, you've been through some of these processes already, right? Like if you're going through the process of setting up like Spotify for artists, Amazon for artists, et cetera, some of these processes are very similar, right? So some of that information, one of the best things you could do to help yourself out, set up a Google Doc of some sort. And this information you should just already have somewhere, whether it's going through this process, applying for grants, a long list of other opportunities, American Music Abroad, all of this stuff that's out here. A lot of times you're plugging in the same information. So just having that ready, it'll save you a lot of time.
Did you have a question? Did I see your hand?
Maglo.
Oh.
Okay. Cause y'all being the cool kids. Come closer. You know what I'm saying? Man, shout out to the amazing musicians in the room. There's so many people in the room right now that I'm fans of, and
Should they be members?
they absolutely should be members.
Great.
That's why I was really in some of y'all DM like, hey, bro, hey, and I'm meeting new people like, hey, sis, hey, homie, hey, person, you know what I mean? You need to be here. And thanks to MAGFest for having us.
Thank you. So once you do all of this and you submit your career profile, the peer review committee will get all of the applications and they will go through all of them. And then the class of 2024 will be, receive emails in June, walking them to the academy. So everything is sent via email. Again, it's all digital at this point, and you're in. So, yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to apply. There's no application fee, but you pay your fee, your dues. Annual dues each year are $150, and you don't have to pay until you're invited into the academy. And if you don't get into the academy, there's always next year. You can apply as much as you want. And yeah, so the important dates here are March 1. Your application is due. We recommend you get your recommendations in by February 15th because everyone waits to the last minute, and your recommendations are reviewed before you get your candidate profile invitation. So I always say February 15th, have your recommendations in. It's normally like 2 or 3 day turnaround for them to review your recommendation and then send you your profile, and then it gives you at least a week to fill out your candidate profile. You know what I mean? So that's submitted. So I would add February 15th, recommendations. March 1, finalize and submit your application. End of June, the invitations are sent, and then mid-July is the deadline. So if you get your application, if you get invited and you accept end of June, you have till mid-July to participate, to accept your application or your invitation and submit work for Grammy consideration this year. So OEP is online entry period. It's a 6-week period that people have to submit their music or their projects for Grammy consideration. September 15th is the deadline to accept your invitation if you want to participate in voting. So that's kind of important, if that's why you want to join. Okay, go ahead.
Quick question.
It's okay.
If you are a voter, and you might have said this maybe at the hearing, if you are a voter, you can't submit music, or you just can't vote in the category of what you submitted. Can you submit and be a voter, or is one or the other?
No, you're both.
Yep. You can submit and be a voter. Yep.
So what changed 2 years ago is, and how we think that it improved the results of the Grammy Awards, is that every voting member could vote in every category. They've now taken it down where you can vote in 3 categories outside of the big six, because so people will vote on what the areas that they really have expertise in, right? So, so yeah, if you're a member, you can submit and you vote. If you're a voting member, you submit and you vote. A professional member also can submit, they just don't vote. So, yes.
If you're trying to become a member, the person who, I guess, puts in your recommendation letter, do they need you from the exact same state as you?
Nope. Can be anywhere in the world. And the criteria for the music just has to be released in the United States. So you can be anywhere globally and submit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Is there a certain cap on how many members are added each year?
Is there a cap?
Like, let's say you get like 2,000 applications and you guys will be like,
Nope.
okay, 1,000. Okay, so it's cool.
Okay.
Wait, to bounce off of, her question is what, so y'all.
Hey!
So there is no certain number, they're just picking quality per voters.
Yes.
Yes.
And when we went to this, it used to be where if you didn't have enough, the 12 credits, you would be considered, what was it called before professional, y'all? Associate member? Before it was professional? Associate member. So it was kind of like the holding space for people who weren't quite there, but our membership dwindled because there were a lot of people that didn't have the credits. And so, they are focused on quality rather than quantity at this point. But I just want to share because I think it's super important. Before Grammy, I'm on the Grammy U slide, but Grammy U used to be for students who were attending a four-year university or a trade school like an audio engineering school. Last year, the trustees voted to expand Grammy U because not everyone goes the traditional education route anymore. So it's really now a space for people who don't quite have the credits and that are from age 18 to 30. So if you just from 18 to 30, like it's really yeah, it's a four-year membership if you're 18 to 30, your age is 18 to 30, where you don't get to vote, but there are a lot of career development opportunities that you get to come to some Recording Academy events. It's a great training ground until you're ready, until you have your credits, and if you're in that age group. There's a mentorship program with our members. It's a really, really phenomenal program. For your first 4 years, it's $50. It's not annual. It's a one-time $50 fee, and then after you've gone through your 4 years, you can renew for $50 every year until you're 30 years old. Yes.
She was just pointing out there's 3 fields, 19 categories.
Yes.
Yeah. So a quick note, just so you get the vote on 3 fields, right? Yeah. Got you. 3 fields of genres in 19 categories. 10 categories. The correction. I just saw the other text. I'm sorry. 10 categories, 3 fields.
So a field would be like R&B or country,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to follow back. During the certification period, the 12 credits, is that like 12 single releases or 12 albums or
Singles.
singles?
12 singles, 1 area of expertise. Minimum 12. So 12 songwriter credits, and then if you're an artist, whatever. Yes. Yeah. But when I say unique, like say, okay, so the track from the album was released as a single and then it's on the album and you're showing 12 credits, that doesn't count. So like, you know what I'm saying? So it has to be 12 unique credits.
Okay. Yes.
For the fields, like how distinct are they in terms of like, I know they just split rap into melodic rap, traditional rap, and then like contemporary R&B, traditional R&B. Like are those just R&B field, or is R&B and traditional R&B 2 separate fields?
So if I'm not mistaken, based on the voting process, like once you select the fields that you're going in, it'll show you like the different breakup, like under that. And then I believe there's a cap on how many votes that you can put in, correct? Like
10 outside of the.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I'm not a member, so I don't get to see the ballot.
And I think that's an important distinction to make as well, because something that I learned just this year is that, like, what we were talking about before, the difference between voting membership and the other kinds of membership that's there. So could you just, I guess, real quick explain, like, so who is someone that could be a member but wouldn't be a voting member? If you could explain that to the audience.
Okay, so I'm just going to pick two people from our board. So Anshia Crooms is a booking agent. She works with a lot of major R&B artists. She works on support of them. She's probably submitting on their behalf for Grammy consideration, but she doesn't vote. Sean Glover, Director of Music Royalties at Sound Exchange, is a member of the DC chapter on the board, very instrumental in a lot of the work we do, but he can't vote.
And and last thing, I'm sorry. And could you just explain the reason why they can't vote?
They don't participate in the creative process. They're not in the studio. They're not. They don't understand. Well, they may understand, but they don't do the work to create the quality of the product, I should say. Is that fair? These are all artists right here, some that I know understand the rules and vote. Okay.
And the reason why I wanted to make sure y'all heard that, because I think it's important. We're a part of these conversations where people talk about what they believe the Grammys to be, what they believe the Recording Academy to be, and so it's important to know that like a lot of these people you think are pulling strings behind the curtain or something like that aren't eligible to vote. You see what I'm saying? So it's just so you know that you're really being the people who are voting to decide who gets nominated, or not even get nominated, pardon me, but win the Grammy. They're your peers. They're other musicians. These are people that, you're in the trenches with. Yes.
So there's really no magical being that's stopping, let's say, Lupe Fiasco from winning the Grammy.
I hate to disappoint you. Man, our imagination sometimes, right? Like, it's really impressive, and I sometimes wish that people there are, sure, there may be some boogeymen in the world somewhere, but a lot of these places that we imagine them to be, this is accessible to you and you could find out for yourself. But a lot of the people, they are perfectly comfortable making assumptions about work they're not willing to do themselves, so they could disprove that, right? So I'm a doer. Like we're out here. Like we're really out here, and those of you who I've worked with, you know where I stand on this stuff. So, yes, sir.
For a piece of music to be nominated, does the creator have to be?
No.
No.
So what was the nomination process? Like, how does something get submitted?
So only members can submit. So either you have a friend that's a member that can submit, or someone who else has worked on the project may want to submit the project. So there's many ways for it to. Labels can submit. So once it just goes in the pot, and then the ballot is sent out. Everything is it goes. We have an awards department. They review every submission. It takes months. And then the whole ballot is created, and then we have 2 rounds of voting. So the first round of voting, the membership body gets. So 2-week period to vote, the first round, but a little more, 2 to 3 weeks, where the voting membership body gets their ballots and gets to review music for the areas or the fields that they decide they want to vote in. And they vote, and then it's calculated, and then it goes back. And those are the nominees. Then once that is calculated, then we get our nominees, and then it goes back out for the second round of voting. And then if you're nominated, then you just go through the whole nomination process too. There's another voting period that we take extremely seriously. We work really hard to create a fair process. I know that my teammates work really hard to be fair and equitable in the entire process. And 2 weeks, we'll know who the winners are.
And just to touch on what you were just saying, the first time that one of my records was considered, I wasn't a member yet, right? A local artist, a local legend, world-renowned artist named Kokai, he was in my ear real heavy, when he was a governor. like, hey, bro, like I want to make sure you're rep because I know you got the credits. I know you're doing this. I know you're in these spaces. And he was, he was on me. Got all the information he needed for me to nominate my record. Made it up to the second round. I didn't make it out the second round, but that was exciting for me. And I just appreciated how many people in the community here in the DMV were advocating for me to be a part of it based on the work that they saw I was doing locally. And yeah, man, I think more than anything, one of the things that we long for as artists, we all are a part of communities, smaller communities, but we sometimes wish that there were opportunities that we had access to or certain people we knew in the industry. And this is an opportunity for you to expand that community and get access to these same people. You say, if I only knew someone who worked in this type of field, if I had access to a lawyer, if I knew this person, and they're there. They're all here, whether it's whether it's end of the year parties or like workshops that are going on, sometimes movie screenings. You'd be surprised, and it's just an opportunity to break bread and really communicate with other folks you typically wouldn't have access to at some of the smaller events that we do, right?
That's the thing is, you're hearing this whole process and you're listening to and thinking about what you need to do. And so when you come to one of our programs or one of our career development, trainings or whatever, you know that everyone in that room did the same thing you did. Mm-hmm. So you're communing with music professionals, people that do this every day. This is how they eat. This is what they think about, like you think about. So it's really just, to me, I think probably one of the best parts. The Grammy's great, but one of the best parts is just being able to be around your peers and feel inspired when you are amongst community. We do so much more than that one day a year.
Yes.
So, if you want to click that QR or take a picture of that QR code, will take you directly to the membership page. Exactly. We should have had music.
I know, right?
So that has all of the information to apply. It's a really simple process. So again, but I also do want to stress again, February 15th, recommendations, we're right there, y'all. What's today? The 18th? 19th, okay, so 3 weeks. Yeah, and then March 1, everything has to be in. Unless our system breaks down, it's a hard deadline. And then I just wanted to share that Jeanette is the membership manager for Music for Gaming, and then Belen is the awards manager. So Belen, theoretically gets all of the submissions, reviews credits, verifies credits, and then to get everything on the ballot. So Jeanette works to grow membership. They're bummed they couldn't be here. But they're watching, I think. So they're great. I love them both. So, it's a great time. Like, I think that this community really needs to grow within the academy. I think the more members that work in gaming music will influence the outcome, will influence how the academy approaches gaming music. And, there's just so many things you do once you're inside it. And more categories could come.
Yes. And sometimes you have art, so one of our own, if you're here at MAGFest, I know a good amount of the people in the room know who Megaran is. Megaran this year made his first ever children's album. And yeah, he came very close to being in final nomination for children's music. And, think about it like this. If you're a person that is familiar, listen, I got kids, so I'm very familiar with the genre, right? I made sure that I voted for him. And if there was more people from this community that was a part of it, this would be, we'd have something to celebrate right now, as opposed to saying, well, better luck next year, right? So that's something to keep in mind, man. We got to advocate for ourselves and our people, right? So in order to make sure that our folks get recognized, if you know what they're doing, you see the work that they're putting in, then yeah, you want to be a part of that process so you can go ahead and, celebrate them and vote for them. And so he's learning. We've had some great conversations when I just saw him in Phoenix. about what he's learned in this process, and people are so excited because one of the things they're telling him is he's bringing different energy to that space, right? Like he's not just the person who's making very basic like children's music. He's bringing something interesting because of the space, because of him living in this space, right? And a lot of people in the genre are excited about what he's doing, and they want him to keep at it. So he's growing in that community, but his community that got him where he is, we need to be there with him, you know? So it could be more, not just me voting for him, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, anyway.
Do you have anything I should, what were you saying? I feel like you were saying something I should share. Okay. I don't like to miss things. So like I mentioned earlier, I was going to double back to Music Cares because I'm very passionate about people knowing what resources are here. Music Cares is for anyone who's worked in music or who can demonstrate they've worked in music for over 5 years. The organization does a lot of great work. They have mental health programs. They have addiction services. They've paid for funerals. Like when in crisis, Music Cares is there for the music community. So I never want anyone to feel intimidated and think that you have to be a member of the Recording Academy. If you're a working music person, you should know about Music Cares, and you should never hesitate to reach out because they provide such great services year round. It's confidential. No one ever has to know. And so, it is our nonprofit arm again, and I just can't say at the beginning of the pandemic, there was no questions asked. They gave $12 million. They just, if you could demonstrate, and they lowered the barrier to entry. If you could demonstrate you've been working in music for 2 years, and you requested help at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone just got a check for $1,000. Like they really do great work. So yes.
When it says employment in the music industry, are we talking full-time, like this is 100% what you do bread and butter? Because I know a lot of people, especially in this scene, like they do a lot of tremendous work, which is incredible, but they do also work full-time, and is that...
For Music Cares or for membership?
Music Cares.
I would say both.
Okay, so for Music Cares, I don't think it's that.
Okay.
I don't think it's that critical. I think for membership, they're going to look at your public profile. So if you lead with your work at the bank, then I'm just giving an example, but because that's someone I did see it happen to. So I just say your profile should be music. Your public profile should be music.
Yeah, and as somebody who's benefited from Music Cares, it's great what they're doing. I mean, something as simple as, you know how it goes as unless you already made your holiday album and you're popping off like Mariah Carey, you got the hit, you got that record for that time of the year. Like I know, that for a lot of us it slows down, right? Around that time of year. And if you didn't prepare ahead of time for that slowdown, that's the time where you need additional help. Music Care steps in, gives a gift card for a certain amount of money, help you cover your groceries, cover basic needs of your family. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. I mean, that's something I've directly benefited from in the past, just full disclosure, And I've even taken some of their financial literacy courses because I'm just like, listen, there's never too much information about how to manage money, fam. You know what I'm saying? And you're offering it for free, sign me up. I don't even care what we're talking about. I'm just going to decide if it's useful when I get there. Put it on the calendar, and then we'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
And outside of Grammy Week, once you become a member, most of our programming is your membership fee is what you pay. Like there's no additional charge for most programs once you're a member of the Recording Academy. And if you want to take a picture of this is my team's contact information. Always here to help. I can answer your questions. We can answer your questions. We can look at your credits to make sure that you have them, that they're correct, and when you're submitting. So not your. Thank you, Tamara. Not your credit score. Your music credits. So our team is always willing to help and happy to help.
Like I sign up, but
I got enough problems. I don't want to look at nobody else. So are there any more questions? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Have it happen, can members who are professional members,
Yes.
does it happen where they then transfer over to voting membership?
And I always tell people, if you are qualified to be a professional member, join as a professional member. Don't wait another year because you can transfer memberships anytime. So if you're a member and then in September you have the credits to be a voting member, you can write membership at the Recording Academy and say, please consider me for voting membership. These are my credits. This is my social media. I'm a working music professional. I've recorded all this. Can change it at any time. Yep.
Yeah.
Just get in.
Hey, do me a favor. Bless you.
Hey.
From this point on, when you raise your hand, just say who you are, what you do, because a lot of you are just in here on the humble, like y'all you just regular folk, being regular folk, and that's cute. That's cute. But I know who y'all are. So you know what I'm saying? Look, we
I don't.
work, and yes, exactly. So there's people in here who don't know who you are, don't know what you do, and they should, right? Based on the conversations I've had with you, everyone in this room should know who's in here right now. So the brother that was just speaking, that his name's what's your last name, Rob? Martin. That's right. Two first name people. Right? So, I know every day. You're just Rob to me. You know. So Rob Martin. He's director over at Crescendo Studios.
Oh,
if
okay.
you've never been to Crescendo Studios,
I haven't.
You gotta come through and check it out. It's an amazing space. We got rehearsal spaces there. It's where Substantial Art and Music little office is. And there's a black box theater that's amazing. There's free parking. What a concept. You do a show and your audience gets free parking.
It's not cloud, but it's free.
I mean, you know, that part, you know. But there's rehearsal spaces. There's a professional studio there. There's podcast studios there. It's a space that is not too far from here. It's in Falls Church, Virginia. It's worth the trip, fam. All right. So just wanted to make sure you knew who that was. You had a question? Who had a question? That was all right. What's your name, sir?
My name is Chris Martin.
Chris Martin. Maglo.
Recording artist and producer. So I also have real bad ADHD and I zone out all the time. Can you repeat the thing that you said that was really important about the difference between someone who can vote but can't? I forgot how you.
Yes, someone who can't, like members who can vote versus members who can't, right? Right.
So there's two types of membership. There's voting and there's professional. The voting members are the people who are in the studio making the music, or creating the product. So it's, artists, songwriters, engineers, producers, people who just are involved in the creative process, the recording process. The professional members who can't vote and can do everything else in recording, have all the same rights and responsibilities of Recording Academy membership. The only thing they can't do is vote. Are the members that work in support, the professionals that work in support of the recording arts. So educators, managers, label execs, publicists, authors, like liner note writers, magazine writers, DJs. Some DJs are professional members, so it's just the people who don't do the recording.
So that's why you're saying it's your peers then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They can also submit for artists too. So as a professional member, you can submit for music for Grammy consideration as well.
if you have not heard Maglo's music, do yourself a favor. You're so welcome. Like,
I'm gonna add it to my
you're
list.
Super welcome. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. And the guy sitting next to him is no slouch either. Oh, super. I'm fans of these guys, I'm sorry. Carry on. I'm sorry. Fanning out.
You know your best.
Oh. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah. Oh, yep, here and then here. And who are you?
Real name or state?
You know what I mean? It depends. I don't know if you got warrants. No, I'm playing. I'm just making sure y'all still with us.
No, my real name, Brittany, stage name, arcade stage, I produce it, that's about it.
Dope.
And so,
That's a lot.
so I was rocking with it.
You know what I'm saying? Just downplaying it. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that leads into the question I was gonna ask. So to be a qualifying member to actually join, you need
at least, I should say six, at least 6 in the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
It's not a lot. For those who are really active, that's actually not a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because like it's not just like credits for stuff that you're releasing, like your solo work, right? They're
Whoever you produce for.
Right. You know what I mean? Right.
As long as you're credited, like make sure people credit you.
Yeah, that part.
That's a whole nother session.
Like when you go to the Spotify, for example, and the producer credits that it needs to be.
We're going down and we're looking. They can
every
fix it by the deadline.
Listen, every artist I consult, every artist that we consult, like, and when they're early in their stage, like early in the stage of their career, one of the first conversations I have with them, you know, talking about their features, the different things, making sure that on these profiles, like anytime they've been featured on an album, making sure it's properly listed. Because sometimes you might have featured on a record that might have been the biggest record you worked on. It's not your solo work, but it's someone else's work and it's the biggest record you worked on. And then they didn't spell your name right. They forgot a hyphen. They forgot an apostrophe. And it doesn't link back to your profile. That's going to affect the credit here, but that's also going to affect, you know, outside of the credits, it's going to affect the traffic that comes your way. For example, everyone loves Japan, I know, right? I've done a lot of work there. When they finally released this back catalog of stuff that was like the biggest stuff I ever worked on, for some reason they thought it was a great idea to put my name in Japanese. When it's on every physical product that they've ever put out, it's clearly in English, right? Clearly. And then that's weeks of this content going viral that was missed opportunity, right? In terms of new fans who already knew me that couldn't find me. So that's the importance of that outside of just for getting your credit,
Yeah,
but
it's
in
not
general,
silly.
you don't want to miss those moments. You know what I mean? You were next, and then I got you. Yeah.
Is that, well, I'm gonna ask a question, but is that a moment where you need to call a lawyer? 'Cause
I was about to say, that mess with your money?
No, so I mean, look, the money conversation's that's for a couple days. That is not one more session. This is the type of thing that if I got into that and you posted the video, it would go viral. Like we're not even gonna have. I'm not even. As we say here in the DMV, I'm not slicing it. I ain't putting nothing on it. No sauce on it. Nothing. That is the truth. But no, it was a quick resolution. I just contacted them and was like, hey, it needs to be listed this way. And then I did them the favor of like, here's the profile on every DSP that it should be linked to.
Okay.
When I tell you, you should have
That's
like
right.
a spreadsheet or a document already mapped out. Make people work, make it real easy for them.
Simplify it.
Strip away all the excuses because they got to admit, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm not busy. I got time for you. I got all the time, fam.
Something as simple as as your Apple URL, your Spotify links and all. Okay.
Yeah, just have it all ready. What you should be doing, and listen, this is educator Stan hat on right now. Let me fix it. What you should have a spreadsheet of every song you released, where it was recorded, where it was mixed, what's the ISRC code, what the dates affiliated with it, who's featured on it, what's their ASCAP or what's their PRO information. Fam, it should be a spreadsheet of everything you've ever done. You never know when you're gonna need it. We were talking about sync opportunities yesterday, and look, I put it in the universe. I got an email this morning
All right
about a
now.
sync opportunity,
Okay.
right? And the first thing they said, like, here's this form, and I was like, oh, look at all that info they need.
Ready?
Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Because they were like, yeah, the deadline's kind of. I was like, oh, I'm good. I am so good. I'm ready. You know what I mean? Stay ready. You ain't gotta get ready. So this applies to this application process and so much more in this industry, fam. We try to keep ourselves and these babies off these poles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was from Stan. That wasn't from the academy.
I just like to also say that the people in this room, with everything I'm hearing, can write each other's recommendations.
Bless you.
Like it does. We don't have to make this hard. Just bless you. There was another question. You had a question.
Lizzie.
You literally answered it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I call them, instead of tangents, I call them stangents. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it works out. Not all the time, but you know, Lord's still working on me.
That's funny.
You know, patent pending.
Okay. Stangents.
Stangents.
Okay.
I got a lot of them.
I'm just saying substantial, all the.
You know what I'm saying? Look at, any other questions? How y'all feeling about this process? Yes, in the back.
I'm a layperson, I'm not a professional artist, professional anything, I'm just someone with a vested interest in the continued growth of the BBN scene. From the Academy's perspective, is there anything in particular that lay people, supporters can do to help grow the artists' careers and the interest of the Academy in those artists?
That is a man. First of all, God bless you. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think there's a couple things that you should do, right? Anytime you are lucky enough to be able to interact with the artist that you're a fan of, you know, ask them what are some of the things that they're going on and listen to like what some of the challenges are. And anytime they talk about certain concerns that they see in their industry, or if they talk about lack of resources, right? That's a great time to recommend, like, you know, like, hey, I attended this thing and heard from some people in the Academy. And it sounds like there's a lot of great opportunities and resources there for you that you might want to look into. And when you hear artists complain about like fair pay, AI, and how that's going to affect our careers, something we didn't get into up here, but we're a part of those conversations as well. For what was it, for Advocacy Day, right? We met with local congressmen, right? Like we went to their offices, we're sitting in Zoom meetings, we talked about our concerns, made sure that people were familiar with the different acts that we needed to speak on. The Music Modernization Act some years ago, we went to Capitol Hill, spoke on behalf of like artists in this community. So that's some of the other work that happens too. It's not just, voting is a piece of it, sure, but there's a lot more, man. Like we're not just working for ourselves, we're working for all of these people in this community that we care about, right? You know, so yeah, so not great question, man. Like you are what every fan should be every artist should be working toward, like fans who are eager to be educated consumers because they want to basically support I'm sure, time check, I'm sure we've all met people, like if you've made music or been making music for a while and your music resonated with someone in a powerful way, we've heard, man, some of the stuff they have said to us, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I almost well up thinking about messages I've received. People saying that, like, man, your music saved my life. People saying things like, I wouldn't have been, the thing I always go back to, a guy told me he wouldn't have got through medical school without some of my work. Instantly I think of, like, he may be lying a little bit, but I'm joking. But then I said, I'm like, man, if that's true, how many lives has this guy impacted or saved because of my music impacting his? And so when you meet a fan that like wants to know the best way to support you, you know what I mean? Like I salute you, thank you. You know what I mean? Because that's not most of our fans. It's a small percentage of our fans who care enough to be like, yeah, I'm leaving this platform to listen to you on this platform because you get more money, or I'm gonna buy this merch that I really don't have anything to play it, right? But I know that buying your album for $10
keeps you afloat.
You know what I mean? Is the equivalent of thousands of streams, and you know I'd rather support you that way. You know what I mean?
Amen.
And that's real, fam. So shout out to the people who aren't artists in the room but are interested in seeing artists do well. Like, yo, we can't do this with you. That,
okay.
My man, you smooth with it too. Wrap it up, B. Yeah.
If you have any more questions, we'll be outside for a few minutes. But thank you all.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hey, and let MAGFest know if you really enjoyed this panel and you would like to see the Recording Academy like here doing more stuff.
Yeah.
Let other artists know about it, and yeah, man. Hopefully, we can become regulars here at MAGFest.
Thank you.